teenagers, the young kids with infection, with COVID.
That's what we're talking about. Wow.
Yeah, my granddaughter in Boston had it a month ago. She was one of the first in the country.
How old?
15.
Oh my gosh, you okay?
Yeah, they didn't know what it was, and then it went away. The dermatologist did something, and then it came back, and then they had her tested, and by then she was negative. But I think my son and daughter-in-law must have had a mild case, given it to her, and that's how it manifested itself.
Wow.
So he had it before the dermatologist had even heard of it, and then all of a sudden these articles came out from Spain.
Now, Georgia, is Leo with you? Georgia, is Leo with you?
Yeah, I don't know. I was with you, and now I've got. Let me see. I'm fiddling. It'll work out.
Well, I'm going to give it a couple more seconds to let people jump in.
Alva?
Yes.
How's your dad doing?
He's fine. Absolutely.
There we go.
Fine. I had him on Zoom with some cousins of mine earlier this week, and he was so fine.
He's doing Zoom?
Well, the aide who was with him got him on, but he was happy to talk to people on it. And I FaceTime with him all the time.
How old is he? I forget. How old is he?
103.
Oh my God.
Wow.
God bless him.
That's great.
The 103-year-old is Zooming. Okay. So
Maybe he can teach me a few things. Yeah.
Well, for him, it's communication because, it's in his room.
it helps to have an aide with you. It's the independent people in Concordia are now having trouble because they don't have an aide to help them. I have computers. So Alva, I have 8 of those computers. You have that first one.
Hey,
and
Mark, did you find that article?
Thank you so much.
Oh, please. Thank you. I'm glad someone's using it. My wife is going crazy with all these computers piled up in my room as I'm working on them. She's like,
where do you get all those computers from?
So what I did was I went into the synagogue and I went into their computer lab that we're not using anytime soon. I took all them up, but they all had high security. Oh, we don't want the kids to go on YouTube. We don't want the kids to get on Google. So the security was crazy. It took me weeks to kind of break down the security, restart the computer, and be able to put Zoom on. But I got it working, so now I'm working on the next one to give out. So, yeah.
Wow. You're terrific. You are terrific.
There's some things I'm okay at. Breaking into something I'm good at. So.
Yes, your mother confirmed everything, by the way, the other day. We loved it.
My mother was very nice to me. She could have been much worse.
We loved it.
So let's see. I see if there's anyone else coming on right now. If I see an audio connecting, I'll stop, pause. It's 12:03. There's someone else coming on. I'm going to start officially at 12:05. Not to punish the people who came on time, Dick and Ellen. And,
no, we're just sitting here twiddling our thumbs.
I know. No, Bladder, if you move your head just right, you just have big ears. We don't see the dog. We only see your there. Yes.
All right.
I see a cat. I see
right there.
A cat.
Yeah, that's your dog has cat ear. That's right. So it's warm out. I don't get to go outside, so I don't know. I see.
Doesn't feel it. I just was outside.
Yeah. Not hot, not warm.
Not hot. I was surprised.
It's just it's wet. It's a little
wet. It looks wet.
Wet. Not here.
Yeah.
Drizzling on and off.
My driveway is dry. That's all I can see.
That's because you live in Virginia Manor. It doesn't rain.
1 minute till we begin. 1 minute.
Oh, you're right, Mark. I forgot.
Yeah, you guys in Virginia Manor, you pay extra for that.
Oh, is that why?
Also, Herky around the lake in Cannonsburg, they don't have rain either.
It's raining.
I didn't have rain. I was out for an hour.
Right now.
That's where I send my mosquitoes.
Look at that dog. Is that ever
cute? On the floor?
Is that a real dog or is that a picture?
Of the puppy? That's a picture.
The stuffed dog.
That's really cute.
That's Lucas. Me or the dog? Oh, you mean the dog?
No, not you. Definitely not you. No.
That is Lucas Mateo.
Hey, we have a guest cameo. Okay, you can say hi before I get started.
Hello, Amy. Hi, Amy.
Wait,
Nice to
Rabbi,
see you.
Rabbi Amy, before you leave, what's the
Yes.
meaning of life?
Whoa, wait, let me get on one foot.
Wait a second, where are you going? Okay, there he goes.
That's for you to discover.
Oh, I really didn't know what I was getting into on this tough questions thing. Okay, I did mute you all. You do have the ability to unmute yourselves, but I did mute everyone. You also have the ability to rename yourselves, and you also have the ability to chat with me, but not to everyone else. We're going to get started at 12:05, which is early for us. And but ironically, what's the meaning of life is not a very long answer for me, at least. But we can ask questions, and you can. I usually have someone who disagrees with me. I don't see he's not on right now, but maybe he'll come on to disagree with me. So, and that's okay too. And if you fall asleep, you can always find this on our website later in the day once it gets encrypted. So the question for today, the tough question for today is, what's the meaning of life? Is that a dumb question? It's not a dumb question, but it's a hard question because I'm not so sure what it means. What is the meaning of life? If I was going to, I don't usually give you the answer right away because then you could turn it off. But if I had to give an answer standing on one foot, as Rabbi Amy said, quoting Rabbi Hillel, what is the Torah? If the answer, I guess if I was going to give you the answer to what I'm about to say, the answer to what's the meaning of life is to just be, B-E, just to just be. But I'll explain it, and then I'll tell you how every website I ever looked up tells me I'm wrong too. I'll give you the other answer as well. It has to do with commandments. Okay, so what is the meaning of life? So I start thinking about that, because I didn't make up this question. What is a meaningful life? What is a purposeful life? Why did God make us? What is our purpose? Or plain old why? Like, a 5-year-old would ask, why? But I think what's the meaning of life is really the big why. Why am I here? What am I supposed to do? Purpose. Most websites that I looked up after I came up with my answer, most of the websites all went straight to purpose. So I realized I wasn't wrong when I went straight to purpose. What's my purpose? But let's start at the beginning. In the beginning, God created Bereshit, Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. God makes the world. You know what's interesting? You ever read the Bible, the Torah? It doesn't say why. No, it doesn't. It's the rabbis later on make up something and say, "Oh, was God bored? Does God exist if no one believes in God?" Philosophical. But the idea that here I can put myself on spotlight here, just because I like to see myself bigger. Here we go. There I am. Whew, that's scary. Okay, so in the beginning, God made the world, but it doesn't say why. Yeah, and we talked a little about this last week in why do bad things happen to good people? And we talked before that about God. But why did God make us? Why did God create the world? And we talked a little about this last week. If God is perfect, that's a question. But if God is perfect, then we know for a fact that God's creation, the world, is imperfect. But as religious people, we would say, okay, so God may be perfect. God's creation is imperfect. So God must have done that on purpose. So God, we talked a lot about this in the why bad things happen to good people, cancer and hurricanes, the incomplete nature of creation. But what's interesting, and no one really pushed me on this, but you should have, God purposely made the world imperfect. God purposely stopped. God, if you believe in God, could have finished the work of creation, but chose not to finish the work of creation for us to finish the work of creation. So God left creation imperfect, incomplete on purpose, and God created us, day 6, to finish the work of creation. So God created our purpose in the work of creation. God made, and the religious view of the world, again, you can disagree, but the religious view of the world is God made the world for us, made the world incomplete for us to finish, and therefore created our purpose. Okay, so what is our purpose? And we talked about this last week in Why Bad Things Happen to Good People. What is our purpose? Religiously speaking, Jewishly speaking, our purpose is to finish the work of creation. That is our job. That is why we're here. God set up the whole system very early on. So we are supposed to be partners with God. There's a little kid story about what's a partner? And because Adam and Eve are, God says to Adam and Eve, you're going to be my partners. And like, what's a partner? They haven't eaten from the tree yet. So our job is to finish the work of creation, to be partners with God. And therefore, as Maimonides would say, our hands are the hands of God. It's also part of a story with Challuz and an ark. But our hands are the hands of God. We are God's hands. We are God's partners. So when we die, and you're wondering, oh my goodness, we're at the pearly white gates, if there are pearly white gates, and someone asks us, why should I let you in? And I've told this story many times. So if you're in all my other classes, I apologize. Maybe one person has never heard this story from me yet. I'll tell it quickly, like everything else I do. And it goes like this. I die. I go to the pearly white gates. I'm not in heaven yet. There's a big line. Everyone's trying to get in, knocking on the door. Some guy opens the door, and the guy right in front of me the guy knocks on the door. Door opens. He says, why should I let you in? The guy right in front of me says, I did nothing wrong my whole life. And he looks, he says, fine, come on in. Closes the door. So now it's my turn. And I learned the password. So I knock on the door. The door opens and I say, he goes, why should I let you in? Could be a she. Why should I let you in? And I say, I did nothing my whole life, did nothing wrong. Sorry, that actually works too. I did nothing. If you do nothing your whole life, you also did nothing wrong. But I did nothing wrong my whole life. And he says, you're not getting in. Why did I not get in? Because according to Judaism, it's not enough to just not do bad, to do nothing wrong or do nothing. You must do good. You must leave the world better off than when you entered it. All right? You might not cure cancer, but you got to leave the world better off than when you entered it. So we did nothing bad is not the same as we did something good. Did we leave the world better off than when we arrived? And by the way, in Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism, 500 years ago, they even have reincarnation. I didn't do my job, so you get sent back. This whole recycling of souls, recycle, reduce, reuse. So you got souls. There's only like a limited number of souls in Kabbalah. It doesn't really work mathematically, but don't worry about it. But that you would actually get reincarnated, go back to finish your job, which should sound very Eastern to you if you ever studied Eastern religions, which I love Eastern religions, and Kabbalah sounds a lot like that. But go back and do it again. So what is our job? To make the world a better place. No, we don't have to cure cancer. That would help. But we don't have to raise doctors. We can teach each other. Anyone can teach. You don't have to be a teacher. We can help each other. We can hold a door open at the right time. Hold an elevator door open at the right time. We can let someone in during traffic. You never know what you have done. Or at the Giant Eagle checkout line. There is a line, anyone who has, for some reason, seen the new movie Frozen 2 before the lockdown. In Frozen 2, right, with, Elsa and all the other people, and Olaf the snowman. In Frozen 2, there's a song, and the little girl is lost, and she's crying, and she's sad and lonely, and it just comes to her in a song, of course. What should she do? Just do the next right thing. It's like this whole song, and she gets up and she's like, what's the next right thing to do? And that's a very Jewish concept. Just do the next right thing, quoting Walt Disney. So I told you that I cheated. When I was done preparing for this, I started looking what other people say. Aish.com, Chabad.com, Reconstructionists, Conservative, Orthodox. You know what they all said? I looked up, what is the meaning of life? Orthodox and Conservative Reform. Every single one of them said the commandments, right? It's all, I know I'm a rabbi. I'm supposed to say, what is the purpose of life? To do commandments. I actually disagree. I know this might surprise you, but I actually disagree that the purpose of life is to do commandments. And I'll tell you a story that just happened to me last week. I was talking to someone. We had a lot of funerals, and actually it was even before the 3 funerals, 4 or 5 ago, and someone was dealing with some Orthodox relative, and the relative is like, questioning the non-Orthodox relatives' observance. And they keep kosher and Shabbat and the holidays. And I might even mention this last week because it was a couple weeks ago this happened, but I'm not so sure I did. And I said, and the person says, I go to soup kitchens and I, help, clean up parks, but I don't keep kosher and Shabbat and blah, blah, blah. And I said, what's so interesting? They were talking about talis and tefillin. The Orthodox relative was talking about talis and tefillin. And I said, do you understand talis? Those of us who wear a talis, or if you, back in the old days, I heard the tzitzit, the fringes hanging out of my pants. Really cool when you're playing basketball, and they're, it's also good for tackle. So you got the fringes, right? You're wearing a talis. But what is the commandment of the talis? Yes, you should wear it, but you should look upon them. And you look upon them, and that reminds you to do the mitzvot. And what I tried to explain to this person was the mitzvot are a means to an end. They're not an end in themselves. If all you do is wear a talis and don't make the world a better place, then you did nothing. Then the mitzvah doesn't count. In the Talmud, it says, Torah without a worldly occupation is no Torah. You've got to make that, you can't, like talis and tefillin don't do anything. They're supposed to get you to say, oh, now I should go feed the hungry. And so, no, I'm not so sure if working in a soup kitchen will lead to wearing talis and tefillin, but the commandments, the 613 commandments are supposed to guide us to make the world a better place. It's the ritual mitzvot were not an end in themselves. Like, oh God, I did all these mitzvot, but I didn't make the world a better place. Then you kind of failed. God bless you. I mean, they're supposed to lead you. Like I say to people, why do I keep kosher? Do I think God cares if I eat cheeseburger? That's probably for another day. But does God care if I eat a cheeseburger? I don't think so. But not eating a cheeseburger should remind me that I'm Jewish and that I've got something to do. I wear a kippah. It makes me curse less at football games. It's if I go on a date when I was a teenager and I kept kosher, it kind of reminds me I'm Jewish. So commandments are a means to an end. And what they should lead to is doing good, helping others, finishing the work of creation. And you've heard this term butterfly wings. You never know what you set in motion. You throw a rock in the water and the ripple effect. When we do good for others, we don't know how good. You don't know if you made the world a better place. I mean, a lot of us would like to believe so, but we don't know. If we do good for others, good will come back to us, is the theory, whether in this world or the next. The Kabbalist would say, if your life really stinks right now, that's great, because in the next world it'll be even better. If your life is really great right now, you might be in trouble. So I agree that purpose and meaning are not the same thing, and yet that's where all the sources go back down to. So I get this question a lot to me as a rabbi. What is my purpose? Why am I here? Sometimes, why am I still here? And the problem is, and this is my answer, no one knows. I've given this sermon, I think, on the high holidays before. Actually, most of our tough questions have been answered on some high holiday, but you were probably sleeping. So the problem is, no one knows what their purpose is, because you won't know until it's over. Yeah, if someone thought their purpose was to win the Super Bowl, what happens once you won the Super Bowl? Is your life over? Is your purpose over? No one knows their purpose until after they fulfill their purpose, until their life is over, till they look back on it. We can only look back on life and then see what we leave behind. It is a marathon and not a sprint. I love when people, and this happens all the time, when people judge their own kids or other people's kids based on their bar mitzvah. Oh, my kid did everything at the bar mitzvah. Oh, look at that kid. He's only doing a little at the bar mitzvah. I love when people judge how the kid's doing at a bar mitzvah. It's pretty early on. I know in the old days you were a third of the way done with your life, but we got a little longer to go. Many kids who did everything at the bar mitzvah end up doing very little afterwards. And many kids who did nothing at their bar mitzvah accomplish great things. Judging kids at 13 on how Jewish they are, how good of Jews they are, just because they got Pasuka de Zimra out of their mouth, doesn't make them any better than the one who doesn't. Hopefully we give them the tools that make them better adults, but you can't judge a child at 13. It is a marathon, not a sprint. And people worry too much about their purpose. People spend too long deciding which way to go. Am I doing the right thing? Without doing the right thing. They're standing at the fork in the road and they're letting life pass them by. So Judaism believes that life was made to live, to follow, to do. Whether you say carpe diem or whatever you want to, whatever cliche you want to throw out there. It says in the Talmud, based on the Torah, chai bahem, live by them. That commandments were made to live by, not to die by, not to inconvenience, but to enhance your life. And so I talked about this in the holidays not so long ago. There's a story about this famous rabbi, and the wife says, take out the garbage. And he says, but I'm a famous rabbi. And she says, and you're taking out the garbage. And the answer, and he's taking out the garbage, and he realizes that he was created to take out the garbage. That's why he was created. That was his purpose in life. That if it's garbage day, then your purpose is to take out the garbage. That is why you were created. Tomorrow, it may be doing your job or applying to a job. Then that's your purpose. Your purpose is to do what you're supposed to be doing. Judaism says we all have roles and jobs to do. So what is the meaning of life? Fulfilling our purpose. And fulfilling our purpose, according to Judaism, is the meaning of life. Fulfilling our purpose gives our lives meaning. All right? So fulfilling our purpose gives our lives meaning. And it's not up to us to determine our purpose. We all want to cure cancer, except none of us are doctors. Well, except for Mark, I see him there. Okay, but we're not curing cancer. Moses did not decide to be Moses. He didn't apply for the job. Esther, Queen Esther, did not decide to be Queen Esther. They were simply in the right place at the right time. They simply did what they were asked to do. They simply, as Frozen 2 would say, did the next right thing, which is not always the easiest thing to do. So according to Judaism, we each have roles in the world. And we don't know what they are until we do them. We cannot judge others or ourselves. The rabbis of the Talmud 2,000 years ago say that if you think someone else has more to live for, it was about saving lives. You got, should you save your life or save that other person's life? Oh, they're a young parent and they got kids and they're a doctor, and me, I'm nothing. They deserve to live more. They're younger and I'm older. The rabbis of the Talmud disagreed. The rabbis of the Talmud said, how do you know that their blood is redder than your blood? Meaning, we don't know what we're going to make of our lives until they're over, and neither do we know what that other person will make of their lives. You don't know what they're going to do, and you certainly don't know what you're going to do, what good you're going to do for the world. So the question really is, when you are will we be at the right place at the right time and still do what is asked of us? Heroes, if you have a hero complex, heroes do not get to choose their times. Like Noah, right? If you know the Noah story, Noah is righteous in his own time. Noah, any of us can be Noah, righteous at the right time when we are needed. So, meaning, purpose, why? God set up the system from the very beginning. God did not need help finishing the work of creation. God could have finished it. God knew that we needed to help. And therefore, this world has a lot of work to go, and we have a long way to go. And maybe if we finish the work of creation, we would cease to exist, because could we exist in a place that doesn't need help? And every single one of us has a role in finishing the work of creation, and that is our purpose, and that gives meaning to our lives. So what is the meaning of life? According to every other website, other than the commandments part, was to fulfill our purpose. And that is my rant. I'm going to open it up. I do see that, someone did send to me purpose and meaning are not the same thing. I do agree. And yet that is where they all go. I'm going to take the spotlight off me because I can see everyone this way. Cancel spotlight view. You can raise your hand or unmute yourself, or you can just go like this and I will unmute you if you've got a question, concern, or an attack. I'm always open for all. So anyone want to start off with a thought on this? Alva, you moving ahead? Yeah, here we go.
I have some thoughts. I have a thought, at least one anyway. I was in a Torah study thing. It's an Orthodox one with my cousin. And I'm not so sure I'm ever going to go back. But anyway, the rabbi was talking about too much about the afterlife, for my taste.
Yes.
That the purpose in doing the mitzvot is the afterlife.
Right.
It sounded terribly Catholic to me, among other things. It didn't sound comfortable. And I just like to hear what you have to say about that, because I certainly didn't agree.
So there is a line in the Talmud that I'm just too lazy to reach over and grab it. But in Pirkei Avot, it's about you should do and act as without the thought of reward. I mean, and then of course, we go to our jobs because we get paid, and school, there's usually even my kid who we think does nice things usually has something good come and ask afterwards. And yet, Alva, I am completely with you. The idea that we do these things to get into the next world is scary to me. Joseph Telushkin, a rabbi who I like his author. Some of his classmates didn't like him, but I like his writings. And Telushkin wrote, he had this thing about why did Jews not really run with life after death? Now we talk about it a lot, but if you look in the Bible and the Talmud, no one can describe the world to come. It's not and the answer he gave was, we were coming out of religions that their only focus was life after death. How do I get there? Right? Egyptians, you bury your maid with you. Yeah. Just in case you need her. She's still alive, by the way. And the idea that other religions, you see it today, religions that focus solely on how do I get into the next world can do some terrible things. And that's why, as rabbis, I don't know how many times I heard this. Judaism is this worldly religion, not an otherworldly religion. And what we'd say as rabbis is, do a good job and don't worry about it. God will take care of you. But I can't tell you how, why, what the grade is. People always say, what grade do I need to get in? Like, do I have to be 51% good? I'm not so sure. You can be 49% evil and get in. What do you need? Is a pass fail? Do you need a C? So I agree. It's not. And that's, the whole idea of the reward usually goes with the mitzvot and usually is not me. I don't like the meaning of life is to get into the next world. It does sound foreign to me, and I'm not so sure originally it did. I think that's us being influenced by others. I have another sermon that I've never given because I'm waiting till I retire. Barry, do you have your hand raised? All right, here, right, Barry from Georgia. Tell us.
I have 6 children and 6 grandchildren.
Mazel tov.
And is it selfish of me to say, well, hey, I've created all these children and grandkids. Have I done something good? Am I allowed to get into heaven?
Well, and the answer is, according to Judaism, right? Save a lot. Yeah. Kill a person, kill a world, save a person, save a world. You have 6 worlds and then 6 more worlds. And then, we won't be around to see the seed. There are trees planted, the seeds, whatever cliche that one is. But Barry, it sounds like you did a pretty good job. So you got 6 little berries running around that created 6 more berries running around. And so, and there's going to be a lot more berries in the world. And and hopefully one of them does something good, So Barry, I think you're going to be okay. Yeah, that's the Jewish answer. Like the Alva question, the Jewish answer is, I can't tell you who gets in, who doesn't get in. I actually think we kind of build our own worlds to come. That's probably another tough question. But the rabbis kind of describe the world to come different for every person. And so therefore I can easily create a hell for someone who's evil and a heaven for someone who's good without having a heaven and hell. But that's for another day. So Barry, the answer is you have my stamp of approval. It doesn't mean go out and
Thank
kill
you.
someone.
Thank you.
You can still get kicked out. Okay. All right. Don't do anything bad. All right, Joan, I see your hand raised. It's a big hand because it's next to your camera. Go on.
Damn, I don't know. How do I fix that? Yeah. So I have to take issue with something you said.
Please.
Sorry. My apologies.
Never.
And I say it qualitative, with qualifications. But you said life is not a sprint, but it's a marathon, I think. Is that how you said it?
Yeah.
Regarding kids and their educations, specifically Hebrew school educations. So it almost might sound like you're saying we don't need to lay a foundation. And that's what I kind of take issue with you on, because I feel it's really important. And, as some of you already know, our kids were trained by none other than the batons in the era when it was almost like they went every day of the week, not quite, and had, 3 hours of, they were so inculcated with Hebrew and probably a lot of negatives as well. But the bottom line is that they learned a heck of a lot because they weren't permitted or they didn't have the opportunity to run off to sports. We didn't either permit them to or whatever. Life was different back in the 70s and 80s than it is today. But their foundation was pretty damn strong. And today they are very capable of leading a Shabbat service and they're very involved in Jewish life. And so I can't believe that we should dismiss, I understand what you're saying, that it doesn't mean because somebody doesn't have a thorough education at the age of 13, they may not go on to studying like myself. I couldn't read a word of Hebrew until I was married and went to Bethel and took a Hebrew lesson. So I won't discount that entirely, but I also don't want to be left with the impression that it doesn't matter what our kids are learning or what we're teaching them when they're growing up and developing. End of my rant.
There's nothing wrong with your rant, but if I told you that most of your kids' classmates did not continue being active in Judaism, they learned more than the kids today, but did not remain active in Judaism, do not have a love of Judaism, would that sway you, or would you say that, well, my kids did all of the service, even though they know how to? Most kids, especially the ones who kind of felt less than embraced in those years. There's a few parents here who might remember those times. And so, I had this guy in Augusta who said to me, when I was a bar mitzvah, I did everything from Pesukah to Zimra, Shachri to Musaf. And I said, and he said, and I go, but I've never seen you before. It was a true story. I never saw this man before. And he was like, comes to me about his kids' bar mitzvah studies. He says, well, that's the way it was. We did everything and then we never came back. And I said, so what if you did half and then came back, which would have been better? So I don't know. I think that sometimes that system works. I think it's, but I do believe in a foundation. I just think the foundation isn't always, syllables coming out of a mouth. It's some people it worked on and some people it didn't. We have a few people here in our synagogue who were raised the same way and they're wonderful. And I met a guy, true story. I met a guy at Kane Hospital with a collar on. He says shalom to me. I say shalom. It was a priest collar, minister collar. I said shalom. He goes, where are you from? I said, I'm the rabbi at Bethel. He says, oh, I had my bar mitzvah there.
Oh no.
True story. This man converted out of Judaism after having a bar mitzvah at Bethel. So he did all his stuff at the bar mitzvah, and then he converted out of Judaism. So it doesn't always work. How much you do is how connected. Shirley, I saw a hand raised.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the part of the foundation is important, but I think kids get more from seeing that what you're doing. That when there's
The parent.
Judaism in the home,
No,
when
the
there's
parent, not me.
social action in the home, that makes more of a difference.
I think, Joan, you may want to give Bethel the credit and the bar mitzvah the credit, but I'm going to go with Shirley and give your home the credit. Yeah.
Well, I think it's both. I think definitely it's both. Shirley, I agree with you.
I'm giving it all to you, Joan. I'm telling you, I had a person one time say to me, they go, it would kill me if my kid intermarried. I said, you don't keep Shabbat services. You never go to synagogue. I'm like, why would it kill you? Like, you don't do anything. Like nothing at the home. Okay, wait, there's a question that was sent to me and it's really neat. I don't know if I can answer it. So in our faith, if we had to choose who gets the available respirator, God help us if we get down to that. But if in our faith, that we had to choose who gets the available respirator, both candidates are basically the same, but one is a religious leader. Oh, they should go last. Does our Talmud show a preference? So I would say that it's probably first come, first serve for the Talmud. The Talmud has a story of two people with a canteen of water, and it's not based on who deserves it more. It's who had the canteen first. God bless you. You're lucky. So I would probably say the Talmud would not say the rabbi goes before the Am Haaretz, the normal person. And certainly I wouldn't, but I think you would have to say first come, first serve or flip a coin. I don't think Judaism would do that. We do try to avoid leveling humans. All humans are holy. The rabbi is no holier, actually a lot less, but no holier than everyone else. George and Leo, I see a hand raised.
Yes. At the moment, Leo is not on my lap, so I probably could have unmuted myself, but be that as it may. What I kind of would like to go back to is sort of an emphasis that I think maybe you're getting to, or maybe I'm misinterpreting, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. We all have a purpose, wherever we are, whatever we're doing. Exactly what that purpose is, we may or may not know. And one of the things that is a little bit of a pet peeve of mine is people who sweat the details of what their purpose is constantly and are constantly trying to live up to some sort of a standard of, quote, doing good and being there and whatever. Not that that's a bad thing to aspire to, but to the point where it makes everybody else feel guilty because they're not doing enough. And I always feel like we're here, we don't know exactly what that purpose is. I think just the idea that maybe you've said something nice to somebody and it changes their perspective or makes their day or allows them to move on in a better direction than where they were before. Or like you said, you opened a door, you closed a door at the right time for the right person in the right place. And you may not even realize that you've done something significant. And I always feel like, so just being there and showing up and making an effort to just do the right thing, like the song says, the next right thing, probably is enough, if you get my meaning. And what it is that we do and how we contribute is going to be different for everybody. It takes all kinds of different people doing different things, making their little contributions or big contributions, as you have said, to keep the lights on at Bethel. It's the same thing with the rest of the world. So that's my rant.
So Rabbi Georgia, I agree with you. Everything you said, you heard. That is my thought as well, philosophy as well. And by the way, there is such thing as doing too much. I was studying with a bar mitzvah kid once, and we were talking about the Jewish view of charity. And you're supposed to give 10%, right? 10%, 10%, 10%. But there's a limit. You're not supposed to give more than 20%.
Right.
And so we had this bar mitzvah kid, and he said his mother volunteers at the synagogue 5 nights a week. He was kind of complaining, my mom's always at the synagogue. And I said, well, you could tell your mom she's breaking Jewish law because she has only so many nights a week and she's spending them all at Bethel. She's giving too much time. And by the way, there's another show, The Good Place. I don't know if anyone saw The Good Place. It finally finished. But The Good Place is very interesting about getting into heaven. And there was this one guy who all he did his whole life was to do good things to get into heaven. And then the question was, is it a good thing? Does your good thing count if all you're doing it for is the reward? Like the Alva question. If you're only doing it to get in, and so they had to change I'm not giving away too much. It goes in circles the whole season, the whole series. But the whole point was they had to take away the idea that they were going to go to heaven if they were good and see if they would still be good. So there is this, and by the way, and I deal with like 95-year-olds who say, "Why am I here?" And it's hard because some people would like to think, "Did I fulfill my like Barry? You had 6 kids, you done?" It's like I don't like to think so. I don't think so. I think we're still around I think we're around, and I think we still have purposes to fulfill. And like Georgia said, you can never know. You might never know what you did. We say that when on Yom Kippur, please forgive me for anything I did to you, whether I knew it or didn't know about it. Like you could have hurt someone without knowing it. Maybe you helped someone without knowing it. You never know. That's why just be, or what is it? What the other 2 words you said? Showing up, and what was the other one you said? It was good. Showing up in something. Just showing up. Yeah. All right. Okay. Any other one else here? It's 2. We're doing good. So, Herca, you raising your hand or just moving? You're just moving. All right, here I go. There, Barry. Here, okay. Barry, I love your colors. Okay, yes.
You haven't mentioned it, and in this time right now, we are suffering from the coronavirus.
Yep.
And is this another way that God is testing us as this like the plagues and such? But I don't know how is it making us more cognizant of each other? In a way, we are supposed to keep our distance from each other. So that's sort of a conflict, but I believe that there is some meaning to this.
So Barry, you got to go on our website from 7 days ago. Every single thing you just said was in when bad things happen to good people. And the question would be like, is this a plague? Is this a punishment? Is it something we created by not taking care of the world and the world not taking care of us? I even talked about how some people look at these diseases for us to care more about others. I talked about the tsunami, and we care more about the Indonesians. And I said last week, there's probably better ways to do it than killing 1 million people. But Barry, it's hard not to look at it and say, and by the way, that's how I look at the Bible, because then 2 weeks before that, it was, do we believe in the Bible? And I said, I don't believe in the facts, but I believe in the truth. So I'm always learning something. So the question is, what are we learning from this? Are we learning to appreciate our human contact? Are we learning to, maybe we have to take care better of the world? Hey, that ozone layer is doing much better right now. So maybe we can learn something. The kids have a horrible title for this thing. The kids call it the boomer remover. Right? The kids all say that we're destroying the world, right? All us old people are destroying the world. And look, this thing is attacking us old people. And look, the world will be better. Like they always think that everyone thinks they're going to be, take care of the world better than the previous generation. But the idea is maybe there needs to be a reset or something. And so, Barry, I don't think God is pressing that button, the corona button, but I do think we have a role to play, and I think God helps us get through it. And I think we do learn some very important lessons. There's some beautiful things happening right now because of the quarantine. I mean, I hate it, but there's some beautiful things. We couldn't have a person from Valdosta at our class if we were in person. And no one would show up.
Thanks to Jerry Bass.
It's Jerry.
He and I used to be working at the same company.
Oh, at Bettis?
Yes.
Yeah, I just drove by Bettis I don't even know why I was there. Somehow we just get in the car and drive because we can't stop. So you just drive and go back. All right. So anything else before we start? I have my next meeting is the leadership meeting about the high holidays. So God help us. And I said, I should just count 2 weeks. You'll see what happens. Okay. So yes, Joan.
I have one final comment that
do it
in a very ironic kind of or paradoxical kind of way and you've said this yourself, with so many people attending all these Zoom services and classes and meetings, etc. In a way, I mean, I wish it weren't this way. I would rather go back to the old way, barely getting a minion sometimes, but it's kind of, how do you justify that we're getting such great turnouts because of this horrible pandemic? And
I think I saw 500 people this weekend between the Friday morning funeral, the Friday night Sheldon Low, the Saturday morning bar mitzvah, the Sunday morning funeral, and then we actually had a big turnout for that first Mondays, whatever the Monday afternoons. I saw it, and not just 500 squares. Some of those squares have 2, 3, 4 people. There were some family members, but it's absolutely incredible. And what we're talking about now is really about the future. Can we ever actually go back to our sanctuary and cut off all the people who are coming in from Florida, or the bedridden people, or, I got people who can't, but they can be with us. So we're going to have to find that in person, but still bring those people virtually along with us. But I don't know. I think people need something, so they won't be 50 people. Shirley, what do you got?
I was just going to say that I hope that one thing that comes out of this is a real appreciation of the involvement the community at Bethel has had. I tell people every day, you make my day, you make my week. You anchor my day when I have nothing else to do. I know I'm going to Minion at 6 o'clock.
Yeah. And I love that Sue Ellen can be with us.
And by the way, Revy, number one thing I wanted to say to you was I didn't realize I was going to be able to have a Jackie Mason performance in the middle of the day. So it's always a pleasure to listen to you, number one. Number two, we actually, during our post-Minion talk in the morning, that's no longer at Brugger's, but we were talking about this and just said, on the one hand, yes, as was just said, it's nice that we don't have to worry anymore. Do we have 10, 11, 12 people? Now, generally in the morning, we have somewhere in the mid-20s.
And you don't even need pants. Yeah.
But my comment was, so when we go back, whenever that is, a year from now, 2 years from now, whenever we get back to normal, but all of a sudden, if we're going to allow streaming or Zooming, it's really going to be, we're going to lose the community that we're getting, because for those who want to be in that room behind you, who want to be there, all of a sudden you might have 5, 6, 7 people. There might be altogether 25 people, but it's not the same. We're losing something.
It is. I tell people, because I'm talking to rabbis across the country right now, and the Pittsburgh rabbis are actually, we're all trying to work together, the Conservative Reform. But I said, would we rather have everyone together on Zoom or be separated in person? The easing of these things. We can put 25 people in 1,000 seats, and they can't look up, and they can't sing, and they can't, shake hands. They can't touch a doorknob. They can't talk in the parking lots, which they can't go to the bathroom. They can't use the water fountain. Or we can have everyone together. I mean, it's a tough one. By the way, I don't know if you heard me say this, but I'm working on this right now, Mark. You see that picture right behind me? If I was in the chapel, I'm not. But if that was a large screen television with Bill Schwartz and Sue Ellen Schatzer and James and Cheryl, who just got back last night. There are people who can still join us in the chapel. We're working on that technology as we speak.
Wonderful.
And I probably am not going to open up until I have that technology running. Even if we cure COVID tomorrow, God bless it, I would wait a week until I have the technology up before I kick on anyone. I don't think we can say we'll see you in 100 years at the next pandemic. So I think there is something beautiful happening. We're going to figure this one out. Unfortunately, I think we're at the beginning, not the end. Yeah, Ron, what do you got?
Just a couple thoughts. Unfortunately, I tend to agree with so much of what you're saying. I look for something to disagree, but it seems like, to summarize, that our purpose is to learn, to grow, and to help. And I think our purposes are different for each person. As an example, I'm trying to find some meaning and purpose to my life being at home for 2 months and not working. I have always defined a lot of what I did by working. And now I'm asking, do I want to return to work? Is there something more meaningful, more helpful that I can do with my life? And when you talk about how many people are on here, I'm trying to take advantage of the help you're offering to help me find those ways for myself. So, and I've never taken advantage of what you offered, but I am, because it's helping me try to determine where I want my meaning and purpose to be.
Oh, that's very good, Rabbi Ron. that's really good. That's learn, grow, and help. Oh, good. Rabbis would agree with you. They say in one of my recent ones, I said, the angel touches you and you spend your whole life trying to gain back that knowledge. That's part of our purpose too. Learn, grow, and help. So good. Okay, wait, Beth, I see a hand. I don't see your face. I can see your hand. There he goes. I see a hand.
I was thinking about what Mark said.
Yeah.
I was attending a couple of classes through Mountain that had 100 or so people. And it was very nice, but the best parts, and everybody who was in one of these classes said this, the best parts were when there were small breakout groups and we could talk to each other. And what we really like about things like the Morning Minion or a group like this is that we do get to talk to each other. There is that exchange. And if you walk into services and walk out of services, unless you combine those two dynamics, I think we're missing one. I still feel I would rather see the people and I'd rather have our discussions over coffee at Kruger's, but this isn't that. This isn't that, but I want both. I don't want to just walk into a shul and walk out of a shul. I need the stimulation of other people, and proximity of other people would be better.
It's funny. So Amy gets the nice computer, the nice office, and I'm in the back corner of my bedroom in a 3x3 area, not moving for 10 hours. And I get the small computer. So the most I can fit on my screen is 25. And after 25, you get a little arrow that says page 2. And I think about that, like on the computer downstairs, you can get 49, you get 7x7. So, but once you're over the limit on my computer, and I wonder if this is like, and you can't see everyone, even if I just see a name, I'm okay with it. Like I could see Karen Frank's name. I assume she's there. You don't have to say you're there, but yeah. But once it goes to the next page, all of a sudden I feel like there's someone on the other side of the room, like another room. And so I do think there is something, yes. And if you walk into services and you walk out of services and you don't interact, I mean, that we are learning that interaction is important. We're also learning that it's fun to mute people. No offense, Mark. But it's really, services are can go much more smoothly with the mute button. I'm trying to figure out how to do that in real life. Yeah. So
you made it almost a whole hour without doing that. Thank you.
And now I have to do another al-Khair. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for being my weapon boy.
And by the way, congratulations to Rabbi Amy, because Rabbi Amy has actually successfully taught you that your purpose in life is to take out the garbage. That's really impressive.
That is
she was
why
able
I was
to teach you
created.
that.
that actually, I took it out on Monday. It's still out there. My purpose is not to bring it back into.
Well,
the
that's why
house.
that's why God gave you kids.
Oh yeah, my kids. I mean, I'm not complaining that they get up at 6 o'clock at night because it's quiet until then. They're on a different schedule. Well, people, thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you.
We're going to do something silly and try to plan September, which I think is a mistake, but I do as I'm told. That's what I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So talk to you later and see you later. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, pause, stop. Okay, stop the live.